Extreme Media. Secrets exposed.
Abodo's rise to the office of DPP and what she has done in that office since 17th April 2020 was shocking for me, because for a decade I had worked amongst them alongside these people. And I thought that we were in the same struggle for a better Uganda. But in the appointment at Abodo, I saw clearly the point of departure. I saw them celebrate a sham. A judge had no business accepting, participating in a process to attain office in the executive branch called DPP.
Extreme Media. Secrets exposed.
Which choices are you going to defend? And what are you going to do for the rest of Ugandans as their democratic choices come under attack by the establishment? The people of Uganda are looking at you lawyers and wondering whether you're merely visitors, you're visiting council in this country. Anyway, our critique of African feminism among lawyers is another subject on which we shall hold an independent space of this kind. Because this one I'm just gate crashing Mr. Mchibi's lecture. But we have a huge problem, a big, stinking, rotten one. Namely, African female lawyers and their relationship with power. And I will not shy away from saying so. I have never by the 17th of April 2020, Judge Jean Francis Abodo became the highest ranking woman in the law in Uganda. After all, the CJ, the DCJ, the PJ, the Attorney General, Solicitor General, we are all male. So this executive office in Article 120 was then given to a female, and it was accompanied with the usual self-congratulation of empowerment. And we had to critique it in that time in a way that won't be submerged. We had to remind feminists, these so-called feminists in the legal game, that you are not actually in the business of critiquing power, or as you like to call it, patriarchy, but you're rather kissing its boots as you claw your way up the ladder as pick-me tokens, while pretending that you're smashing patriarchy. Abodo's rise to the office of DPP and what she has done in that office since 17th April 2020 was shocking for me, because for a decade I had worked amongst them alongside these people. And I thought that we were in the same struggle for a better Uganda. But in the appointment at Abodo, I saw clearly the point of departure. I saw them celebrate a sham. A judge had no business accepting, participating in a process to attain office in the executive branch called DPP. Doctrinally speaking, she was offside. To answer the call, to pretend to participate in those interviews, to go to parliament, to accept the appointment, to take it up, to take an oath, and to start functioning without even ever thinking of resigning. She didn't even seek leave from the judiciary or the Judicial Service Commission. She's actually an abscondee from judicial office. She dumped files in the criminal division and ran off to perform moonlighting because the patriarchy called. And our argument then has always has been the same since then, that she has never exercised any independence because we see the judging decisions that have hurt Ugandans without discrimination, without measure. She has made by far the worst judging decisions ever. There is no discipline. There is no order in what gets sanctioned. You can pretend. But people of Uganda know better. And ultimately, when insulted, you do the right thing, like you voted me. So with lawyers, the debt is paid. It is with the judiciary that the debt remains outstanding. I don't care what you think of me. I want my day in court. I have filed papers at all times. I have challenged everybody that has tried to weaponize the law in respect of my criticism of the appointment of Judge Abodo. I'm not a coward. I will not run away from it. Judge Abodo is doing a lawyer's job. That's a job for lawyers. And I'm entitled to push her out of it. And that's why we filed reference number 15 of 2020 in the East African Court of Justice, because we have no confidence in the Uganda judiciary. How can we go to Sekana to rule on such a matter when we know exactly how we entered the judiciary? What will he decide? There were no interviews. There was no fairness. There was no equity. There was no equality. There was no respect for either the Uganda Constitution or the Treaty of East Africa. It's a job in the public office. Why wasn't there an open competition? Why didn't we see lawyers publicly so that we get represented? Even though those lawyers don't win, our voices will get heard in this process, such that whoever wins, they won't be able to ignore what others stood for. They won't be able to ignore the visions that others have presented for fellow citizens. But now, with Abodo, you have more of the same. If not worse than her predecessors. Because she didn't pass office transparently. And she hasn't been doing it transparently, faithfully to Ugandans. Examples abound. You all know them. I'm speaking to practitioners here. Where are the critiques from the legal establishment of the operations of the DPP? Certainly they are there. In memorandums of appeal that have never received a hearing. And will never receive a hearing in her lifetime. By the time the judiciary wakes up to hold the sitting DPP accountable, she'll probably be dead, or she will be the Chief Justice. As per this trajectory. These guys have organized a cartel, a cabal. It has been our critique that when African feminists stand up in the courtroom or in the corner office, they make it look like some revolution has happened. Yet in truth, it's just another corporate branding exercise. Our female lawyers, draped in their fancy suits and credentials, like Abodo's human rights degree from Ireland, they love to wave the feminist flag. And this is actually time to confront the big boys who are pulling the strings. Where is their fire then? Where is their radical push to dismantle the systems that keep power concentrated in the hands of the same old dimwits, the same old crooks, the same old tyrants? When the opportunity manifests? Nowhere. You look at the two most important cases of last year, two renditions. The first of 36 FDC supporters, former FDC supporters, PPF supporters, who were renditioned from Kisumu into a Ugandan courtroom to receive a charge endorsed by Abodo. You ask yourself, does the state, this is a simple question of law, does the state have a right to prosecute any person for any despicable offense if its investigation, its pre-prosecution stages violate the constitution and international law, violate the laws of this country? The answer is simply no. Not because we don't see the crime, if any, but that's because respect for the constitution and rule of law is a higher norm. It is the duty of law officers at the bar and at the bench to uphold the supremacy of law against power. Do we see this? Do we see this in the Vestige case? Do we see this with them? For 25 years, the judiciary played pinky ponke with us on military justice. Even in the penultimate stage, we have to engage in useless, stupid rituals like visiting the Chief Justice to placate his ego, begging to have a judgment that everybody sees is long overdue. I mean, if a pregnancy is held beyond term, it becomes a crisis for which all members of the village must be concerned for the welfare of the mother and the child. But for the Ugandan judiciary, the pregnancy is normal to carry pregnancy beyond term and insist, leave me alone, leave me alone. I will produce when I want. I will deliver when I want. I am picking this imagery deliberately because we are discussing the contribution of African feminist lawyers to our situation. Because they can't see justice in feminist senses. They see it just in purely patriarchal senses too. We see them busy playing the game, causing up the very structures they claim to oppose. All because they want more seats at the table. or worse, they want fatter paychecks. So you see, FIDA, Female Lawyers Network, all these people respond to the president of the Law Society. An unapologetic, unabashed critique of African feminisms. Crudely, through an apology of feminism itself. An apology they won't put to the contest in a seminar or conference. Why do you want to use a courtroom for us to have this conversation? This is the defense or response I gave the national women judges when they came for my PC in 2020. I told them, don't waste time at the law council. Invite me in your next general meeting. When Abodo is there, I want to see those who support her and those of us who challenge her, and we speak, we debate. We will all walk away better. That's how a democracy works. You don't have to you don't have to come and affect my right to earn because you don't like my voice. You don't like my ideas. You find them shocking. You find them rude. You find them embarrassing. You find them insulting. That is constitutionally provided for. And I'm grateful that when there was a change of power in that organization and Justice Olive Kazari became the new president, that complaint was withdrawn because it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to the African feminists within the judiciary. I'm grateful and I will owe forever be respectful to such judges like the current president of UJOA, the Uganda Judicial Officers Organization Association, I think. I celebrate her because the first act she did in office was to withdraw that petition. I didn't ask her, I didn't ask them. We had come to argue, and my lawyer, Judy Biamukama, told me they have withdrawn the petition for reasons that they only them know. Their president is here to confirm it. That's the end of the matter. So, I don't want to be misunderstood that my critique of African feminists with law degrees is without exception. Certainly, there are exceptions who I celebrate. I've given you just one example. But there's another example. The landslide victory we registered in September last year wouldn't have been possible without the support overwhelmingly of female lawyers who accepted our critique as an invitation for introspection and change of course. As acceptable criticism of their time at the bar. They accepted that there had been failures. African feminism could have been used as a machete to cut through the colonial, militarized, male-dominated nonsense that still chokes our legal systems. As my mentor and dear friend, Dr. Sigla Tamale, argued at the end of her career through her well-known book, Afrofeminisms. But instead, too many of our female lawyers wield legal power, judicial power, as a butter knife. When you appear before them, you find that the law is dull, the law is unsafe, the law is useless. They won't call out the Attorney General for being a spineless puppet. They won't call out fellow judicial officers who rubber stamp injustice, because that might rattle feathers and derail their precious career tracks. They'd rather be the good girl in the room than the rebel who burns it down. Where is the guts to say this whole system is a rotting corpse and I'm not here to perfume it? When did we last listen to female lawyers, especially in the judicial office, writing like this, speaking like this? I know when two female lawyer judges stood out for me and my clients back in 2017, 2018, when we had to challenge Uganda Christian University on behalf of Yasin Sentumbu and Simon Semwemba, Justice Eva Luswata and Justice Margaret Mutonyi said no, this kind of injustice must be nipped in the bud before it contaminates the rest of our education system. We can't have education systems as sites of tyranny. The essence of a university setting is to give everybody a lift up. People can't be plucked from it and thrown back into the streams of poverty and disillusionment simply because they're outspoken. Yes, let them be outspoken within campus. Change your rule books. They say, change your rule books to accommodate more freedom of speech for young lawyers. Wow. Wow. So, there are women who got it in them. The question is there an enabling environment for them to thrive in their careers if they practice the true call of African feminism? You have the answer. Mr. Mchibi has given it to us. No. It's their fellow women who will call them out. At cocktail parties. Who will tell them to beware of these clowns. Who might end their careers. This is what you hear. Judges themselves are under captivity. How can you be a judge and you're captive to forces, ideas of regulation? You be afraid to cause this a case. When you cause this state, you avoid to enter the merits. What are we supposed to do then? Because suddenly the complaint system doesn't work in this country. This is the question of the radical new bar. What are we supposed to do then? Mr. Mtibi has spoken of our cherished garden. It's under attack. A weed has attacked our cherished garden. Who is supposed to do the uprooting? We have suggested that uprooting, we have suggested decolonization, demilitarization, democratization, and digital transformation to help with this spraying of this weed. I put it to you that it is the pick-me feminists that we have to first deal with, wherever they are in this judicial establishment, in the legal system, in the public service system. Beware of them. They pose the greatest danger. Because they are happy they celebrate being used as the tools and weapons of oppression, of exploitation, of tyranny. When you touch them, they scream feminism and they confuse young women that they are victims. I submit to you, fellow colleagues, especially women who are on this call, our campaign was unapologetic. We urged the fellow colleagues, especially women, to reject tokenism and infantilization. Women lawyers are not special ladies that wilt under criticism, however scorching, however caustic, however trenchant it can be. No, they can take it just like men can. That's the idea. Oh, look, a woman judge has been attacked. That kind of sentiment is how you lose the entire judicial establishment. Our judiciary, you've all heard for yourselves, has been and remains and is likely to remain a cesspool of elitism and corruption. It is no longer the site and theater for critiquing power. Our own judicial officers crave power more than anything. So they're afraid of challenging the status quo. And for the women, they want to be poster girls of the status quo. So they even change their views. There's one judge, I will one time, not so far from now, expose her. But my God, she had no problems splashing the worst views about law and justice before me. She expected that she would find concurrence with some of those unacceptable, unspeakable views, but I would expose her. I think at the time she was campaigning to be Deputy Chief Justice, and she went on, showing that for her, the struggle for a better Uganda is entirely a criminal enterprise. That's what she said. The state should be left alone. Let me tell you, young man, Ssemakadde, leave the state alone. Oh my God. Her unsolicited advice in the wrong forum. But I was happy. In fact, she proved my thesis. And now such a judge wants to sit in the judgment of me. This is still going on. Those who think they want to conduct reconciliation, don't come thinking that we don't know what our grievances are. Don't know what has gone wrong. Don't come thinking that we don't have faith in our own values, dreams, and aspirations. That we are going to easily relinquish our struggle for a better Uganda to placate you, to give you peace and sound sleep. No. Our mission is to make it tough for you at work. Such that when it's time to represent the underdog or take on the real villains, you do not suddenly claim to be too busy building your brands. Mary, you're a female lawyer under my mentorship, and I know many like you that are willing to consider our radicalism a gift and an opportunity to do better. And I celebrate you. I thank you. Being a change maker, a chain breaker, a brick builder, a pathfinder, like Mr. Mchivi urges us to be. But we must remember that the purpose of insults in our current setting is to win the battle for truth. Plain and simple. Nothing else is effective. Nothing else is going to be effective unless we give ourselves at the back the right to insult, and then give this right to other Ugandans. Only then shall we restore a culture where truth is the primary ingredient for justice. Truth about power and the ends to which it is applied. In this battle, I will not relent. I will not cover up my contempt and ridicule for African feminisms among female lawyers, which have failed because the majority, your best and brightest, have traded radicalism, which they are fully capable of, for respectability. They've swapped the machete for the manicure. Until these women stop chasing crumbs from the master's table and start flipping it over, until they critique power with the same ferocity that it deserves, they are not feminists. And they should not run to feminism for protection. You should reject them. Fellow feminists, you should reject these sellouts and their hangers on. These are just well-dressed cogs in the machine. Wake up, sisters. The bar, the radical new bar which I lead, is back on track. And we're not here to play nice with your pick-me nonsense. Bang the damn table. Bang the table. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. We are truly grateful for the insights. I hope our dear listeners have benefited. And